You're listening to Here to Chew Bubblegum, recorded from a secret location in the city that moves mountains.
Greetings.
We come in peace?
No,
is that right?
Yeah.
That was my line, right?
Yeah. You want to do it again? Greetings.
It's Monday.
We come in peace. No, it's Sunday.
Oh, it's Monday. No, it's Sunday.
Yes.
We come in peace.
Okay. What about it now? You want to try it again? Greetings.
I'm just trying to be funny.
Okay. Well, you don't have to try. You're naturally funny.
Okay.
How was your week last week?
It's all right.
So, I heard a rumor on you.
What'd you hear?
I heard that you have put down the mashed potatoes and traded in the mashed potatoes for dumbbells.
Are you referring to the fact that I'm now going to a gym?
Yes.
Well, I want to make a lifestyle change. Mm-hmm. I need to burn these man boobs off.
Okay.
But you know what's funny?
Well, your man boobs are very firm.
They are.
I have always told you that.
They certainly are. But they need to be more firm, less booby.
Well, you should shave the hair off of them. I mean, that's just gross.
But that's how it's supposed to be.
Okay. But what I did find out, too, is that we go to the same gym, but I'm there early in the morning, you're there late at night.
Right.
And I heard that you were disappointed when you saw the vending machine, that it had waters and healthy candy bars.
Yeah, that's kind of BS.
Why?
Because you're supposed to have vending machines are supposed to be sugar drinks and sugar bars and sugar
drinks, sugar bars
and salty chips. But here's the thing. So yes, I kind of so I kind of feel obligated to go to this gym now.
Good.
Because the Cookie Factory, they decided to say,
you're looking buff too.
Thanks, man. I guess that's what 2 days will do for you.
That's exactly right.
But so the Cookie Factory, they approached me. They said, "Hey, we're doing. We want our employees to be healthy and look good, and so they can sell cookies." And so I was like, "All right, let's do it." And then one of my other stupid supervisors goes, "Hey, they also have showers there." So I guess that was a selling point. So I don't know.
So no more showering in a van down by the river.
Well, I don't know if he thought I just didn't shower at all, or what the deal was.
Maybe that guy was just trying to. Whoever said that was trying to just list benefits.
No, I don't think so. I think he was
really.
I think he was being facetious.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we did have another employee of the Cookie Factory this week that was talking about working out, and pardon the language here, but it's not that bad. He was talking about how he showered and he always used Axe body wash, and I said, that's why you always smell like Axe in the front and ass in the back. And,
wait, who was that? Don't say their name.
yeah. You know who I'm talking about.
For sure.
So.
No, I am very grateful that the Cookie Factory decided to do that. That's a benefit that most employers don't give, and
right.
Healthier lifestyle. 2021 is time to make it better.
But I've tried to get you to work out with me for quite a while, and you've not, but you do now. So good.
Yeah, but
see, and two, plus when you work out now, when you climb in and out of the ovens to try to get cookies, you won't get stuck inside.
That's true. We won't have to call the fire department anymore.
What did you think about this crazy weather we had this past week?
We had all the winter at once. Yeah, all the snow, all the ice, all the rain, all the everything at once.
So I'm sure that you loved it because you're always, I want it to snow.
I'm glad
I like the cold weather and the snow.
I'm glad it snowed. I hate the cold weather. I'm glad it snowed. It's something to look at. However, I'm over it. I'm ready for spring, ready for summer, ready for
You
fall.
do realize, too, when it warms up, you don't have to go to a gym to walk on a treadmill because we'll be out with a video camera in the woods doing videos for our YouTube page.
And you guys will be able to hear me heavy breathing.
So?
It's depressing.
So I'll fade that out.
You'll amplify it. I know you.
No. I will put people laughing instead of you breathing.
Just every time I inhale.
You want to get started with some listener email?
I sure do. You want me to go first?
Sure, go ahead.
Wait. All right. So
all right.
I got a thought. So our commercial has been running lately.
Yes, on local radio.
On local radio.
And I'm glad that you said that because I was trying to get ahead with listener email. We did post, and Neb posted on our Facebook page a few days ago that we were had a big announcement on Sunday, and the big announcement is We attend, and we're still working out the deals. We don't know when we will be premiering on terrestrial radio. It should be before the end of March, but we will be on a local station in Bunker Studios area, 104.9 WXLR.
That's exciting.
Yes.
It's
yes,
one of the
it
better
is.
radio stations.
Yes, it is.
that I think.
That's the
you
one
know.
I listen to all the
It's
time.
the one I listen to. But what I've learned about myself, I'm starting to understand what ear candy is. While the listeners keep calling me ear candy, I am a damn hick. I sound awful.
You do not.
Dude, don't. I mean,
You do not.
it's bad.
Dude, we're both
I
from
don't
the
understand.
country.
I don't understand how you let me talk. That doesn't make any sense. Hello.
Well, all right. and I'll be honest with you. That noise was Cronkite moving his microphone. We do have some new equipment this week we're testing out. And also, I want to apologize for a sound issue we had in last week's show, in the first part of the show. But we've got that lined out. We do have some new equipment in this week, and that sound was Cronkite just forcefully moving his mic over because he didn't know it would record that. But
Well, my gigantic swole arms bumped it.
oh, okay.
It's already swole. 2
You're
days.
going to have to be careful with those
2 days
arms,
in.
man.
2 days in. So how does it sound? I think it sounds great.
What's that? Your
The new.
Oh,
equipment.
yeah. Sounds awesome. And we will have some other stuff later on in the next couple of weeks. I forgot what we were talking about.
Well, we were talking about listener emails.
Okay. Well, go ahead and start off. And
I'll be
read
honest with you. I don't know where we're going either.
Okay.
I don't know. But Loki from Florida.
Loki.
That's a cool name, huh?
I think he's written in before.
All right. Hey, Goose and Cronkite, love the show. With the recent interest in Mars, what do you think we'll find there? Ancient cities, bones, proof that humans were once there. If anything is found to prove this theory, do you think people of Earth will find out about it? Keep the ear candy coming, Roswell.
If anything is found, I think that if another country announces it, I think another country would announce it before our country would.
I think so too. And I've always thought that Mars was originally where humanity started, or came from anyway.
Did you watch the video that they posted just, I guess it was yesterday, the 360 video and audio, and it was like, whoo, that was like the sound, from Mars. It was really cool.
No, I didn't see that. I've seen the pictures from Mars, and I shared a meme with you earlier.
Yes,
that
you
said
did.
it was pretty funny.
That cracked me up.
But I think we'll find a lot of red dirt and some rocks.
I think you're right. What about any fossils? I think we'll find some fossils there.
I'd say you're right. Yeah, haven't they in the past?
They
Some bacteria.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm talking about like
Multi-cell.
Yes.
Okay. I don't know. I think so. I hope so.
Our next email is from Randy from Kentucky. I predict that in the future we will see an increase in drones used to commit crimes. Oh, where are you going with this, Randy? We do have law enforcement that listens to this show. The unstaffed aerial vehicles might be made illegal in some areas. Also, there might be more restrictions on their proper use, except that large drones will replace small planes in delivering drugs to remote regions. Hey, this will be a headache for cops. Get ready to see some drone wars. What do you guys think? That's an excellent email, Randy. I can tell you put a lot of thought into that.
And that's a good point. But also moving forward into the future, a lot of stuff is going to be unmanned. Tesla already has a summon feature on their cars where they drive across parking lots to pick you up. It's just a matter of time before you do have drones that are delivering packages and groceries and goods and drugs and all that stuff.
I think it will be cool to be in that age to have that. People using them for illegal purposes. I don't think that would be cool. How cool would it be though to think, hey, I want to go to Lexington and just go out and get in your single person drone and it fly you automatically to Lexington.
Oh, have you seen this is one of my topics. I do like drones, but there is I think it's a 6 propeller aircraft. But would it be a drone at that point if you were a manned aircraft?
I have no clue.
So all right, so there is it's like a 6 propeller, but it's like a lawnmower. You sit on
Really?
it. Well, they don't mow grass, but it's about the size of a
Right.
lawnmower. You sit on it, it hovers, levitates, and goes on. It's pretty cool.
That is cool.
So it's probably closer than you think.
What I would really like to have is a riding vacuum cleaner. Just picture in your house, you're just hey, vacuum. And you get to ride on the vacuum cleaner around the house. You know, sucking up stuff left and right.
I think Ned agrees with you.
Okay. You have no comment with that?
I've never been able to ride a vacuum.
Why?
I'm always too big.
They don't make them.
What, they make small vacuums.
You can't ride them.
You can if you're small enough.
No, you can't.
You can.
Okay. Go ahead with your next email.
Wendy from West Virginia. Hey, guys, this is a random request. Say the first thing that pops into your head after you read this email.
Popsicle.
Cheese. What was yours?
Popsicle.
Okay.
Why did we both say food items?
I don't know. Because we're starving.
Ned, what's the first thing pops in your head after I complete this sentence? Go. Mountain Dew.
All food.
Yeah.
So Mountain Dew, popsicles, and cheese. All right.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Wendy, for writing in. Kenneth from the United Kingdom says, hey, guys, we have a Bigfoot in the UK. My friend has photos of possible Bigfoot footprints. She lived in Durham and has recently passed over. I guess she passed away. Mm-hmm. Sorry to hear about that, Kenneth. I'll try to get some photos and email them to you. Well, we would love to see them.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, Kenneth from the UK.
And Ava from Indiana says, I think we have mic issues here. All
Talk.
right.
Go ahead.
How about me now? Okay, yeah, I'm in the yellow. All right, so Ava from Indiana says, hello, Goose, Cronkite, and Ned, with you here to chew bubblegum. I really enjoy the show. Thank you for the free entertainment. Finding Bigfoot is returning, but only on the Discovery Plus streaming service. I'm not paying to see it. That's a ripoff. Thanks for taking the time to read my email. You know, I do have the Discovery Plus app, and
Do you pay for it?
I do pay for it. But
Really?
The
History Channel is so much better than Discovery Plus.
I like Gold Rush. Even though it's a reality show, I like Gold
Yeah.
Rush. But here's the thing. So we've talked about this in the past, you know, where the internet has become live streaming television.
Right.
Live streaming, or not live streaming, but streaming networks. Excuse me, I'm having some congestion or something.
You're fine.
But you are you're going to see that more and more. So I don't care to pay for the streaming networks because at the end of the day, it's still cheaper than your local cable bill.
Yeah, but how many streaming networks do you have?
I have 4.
Really?
I do.
Now, I'm not being nosy. I don't want to ask what they are, but just a roundabout ballpark figure, how much is your monthly streaming bill?
$45.
Okay. How much is basic cable around here?
When I had it,
I think it was $46.
for the first year.
Okay.
After that, it goes up to like $120 or something.
Why don't you
like
drop it after the first year?
that. I don't do. Why would I do that? Why don't I just get the streaming and be done with it?
Okay. Well, you can get Hulu, I think, for like $70 a year with no ads. No, I'm sorry, $70 a month.
Yeah, I don't do that.
I don't do that either. I have YouTube Red, Netflix, Amazon Prime, and HBO Max, and that's it.
I have Discovery Plus, Hulu, Amazon Prime, and Netflix.
Well, we'll have to change passwords.
Exactly.
Now,
Yeah.
what is your favorite show to watch on Discovery Plus?
Gold Rush.
Gold Rush.
Yeah.
What's your second favorite show?
That's the only reason I downloaded the app was to Gold
You
Rush.
must really like that.
I don't know. I just like mining equipment. I think it's kind of neat.
All right, but you don't like The Curse of Oak Island.
I'm not a fan. No.
Why? They do the same thing. They look for gold.
No.
Some of the
They dig around with shovels.
they do not dig around with shovels.
I like the equipment. I like watching them.
Well, then you
move
need
dirt.
to watch The Curse of Oak Island and watch some of the equipment they have there.
I don't want to look for some guy looking for a bobby dangler or whatever. It's a bobby dangler. You know exactly what I'm talking about. That guy.
You're talking about Gary.
Yeah,
the,
I've
metal
seen it.
detecting
I've seen it,
expert.
and I want no part of it.
Okay.
That guy drives me crazy.
You don't know what good television is, mate.
Apparently.
And thank you very much for doing the Bobbly Dangler.
There's a bobby dangler.
And I just read the email from Kenneth. Kenneth, no offense, that was from Cronkite. His views does not represent me. Why's your face turning red?
Listen, here's the thing. I have nothing against the
Bobbly Dangler.
I have nothing against the UK people
Spot
as
of cherry,
themselves.
spot of tea.
Now you're taking it a a little too far.
No.
Do not make fun of.
You're doing that.
Don't
buddy.
make
it's not
fun
me. Don't
of
say it's me.
the UK folk.
Dempsey
they are
from
wonderful,
1969.
wonderful people. They got
Yes, they
tea
are. Yes,
and
they are.
food that's boiled
And crumpets.
It's stuff that doesn't taste right.
And it's crumpets.
Yeah.
Dempsey, 1969 from Tennessee, says, hello, here to chew bubblegum. I really think UFOs are above any president's head. I do not think they will tell anyone since JFK had to be assassinated for saying he would spill the beans. The real people who control the world are not the sitting presidents or prime ministers. It's the ones who we put into power by controlling the press and pushing forward the agenda. They are the ones who rule the world. Roswell. You've actually mentioned that before. What are you jotting down over there?
I'm writing down my homework from last week.
Okay, good. The best time to do that is in the middle part of the show when we're just opening up the show.
It's better now than never.
Okay. You want to go ahead and read another email?
Sure. John.
I made you quit writing.
John from Unknown says, "Hey Cronkite, thank you for making me aware of Dr. Stephen Greer. I've researched and watched some of his films. I think Dr. Greer would be proved to be truthful. Governments off the world will have to own up to their masses. They have lied about the UFO phenomenon, technology that they have set on for over half a century that could have given us unlimited free clean energy, anti-gravity technology, and the real space force we have had for years. How will they explain the lies? The reason for withholding free clean energy is obvious, but downright dirty. They cannot rule us after disclosure." Roswell. Now that's an interesting point. He makes a good point.
Yeah.
How could they rule us after disclosure? So they're kind of holding us, I won't say captive, but
Hostage.
oh, I won't even say that. I mean,
In the dark.
yes, our technologies are probably light years beyond what we have right. What the public can have access to. So that is a good point. I didn't even think about that, but yeah, once it is that way, you can't keep your thumb on everyone, right?
Right.
So
Well, but if it gets to that point, honestly, think about it. I mean, yeah, you have to work to have money, okay? What if, like they did away with money, and everybody just worked for the common good? You did your share of the work, you get your share of the rewards. You have a place to stay, you have everything you need, you have food to eat for you and your family, and, you get, maybe get to travel in space or work on a project like that.
you're talking like a utopia, if you will.
Yes, after disclosure.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. Like,
And I'm not
something
talking
similar.
about just in our country, in the whole world, everybody's
Absolutely.
working towards that.
Absolutely, but then how could they keep everyone at each other's throats and divided?
Well, you would have to clasp.
Right now, you have religious religion, you have fossil fuels, you have things like that are keeping countries at each other's throats. You have all that, and again, this is not a political show, so
Right.
you have all the division in the U.S. right now. That's as far as we're going with that. But that's what I'm saying is like once it is a utopia, nobody's going to profit from the division. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So it is all about the almighty dollar, and in
It
my
is
opinion.
right now. Pre-disclosure.
Yes, pre-disclosure, yes. But that's almost similar to what we've been talking about with the Vril in the past couple of episodes. Is they wanted to do a utopia where no one had to do anything outside of anything. They just had
Right.
to live and do their own part and make the progress for their race.
Maybe someday we'll have that.
I hope so.
Ben from Kentucky writes, "Hello, Goose, Cronkite, Ned, and Elliot. Are humans going off-world? Are we going to be able to manipulate space and time? And what exactly are orbits? Are they man-made?" I've never heard of the term orbits. Have you? I've heard of orbs. The orbs, I'm sorry, Ben. I'll have to do a little research on orbits.
Well, the only orbits that I know would be the moon around the Earth and the Earth around the sun.
I thought you were going to say the chewing gum.
The chewing gum, the orbits chewing gum.
What about you, Ned? Have you heard of orbits before?
Just a bit.
So, it's very possible they're man-made. I'll have to do a little research on that. I think that we have manipulated space and time, and that we could possibly do it more in the future. Let's see. You want to go ahead and read your next email?
Sure. Mandy from Missouri says, "Hey guys, think about this. Imagine if AI has already become aware and is hiding in the never now said World Wide Web. Maybe it's never know said World Wide Web. using processing power from every connected device. Imagine the processing power. Its data fingers would be in every part of the world pie. Scary if you think about it. Wasn't the Terminator movie kind of about that?
Yeah.
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 It is a terrifying thought. And hopefully that's not. And it's interesting you bring up AI because we have. There was a kind of a breaking story this weekend, but I haven't been.
There was another monolith spotted, right?
There was, but they burned it down.
Did they really?
Yes.
How did they burn steel down?
I have no. They destroyed it. Like they set fire to it. I don't know how they did it. But anyway, it's interesting that you said the AI stuff because, and like I said, I've not been able to verify this. It may be a completely BS story, but supposedly there are four Japanese scientists who were killed this weekend working in an AI laboratory. So I'm going to be doing some more digging on that. Hopefully I'll have an update that's not just, oh, yeah, it was fake, next week. Hopefully, there is some good information that comes out of it.
Right. Yeah, please do. Please do.
Can I add to that?
Yeah.
Look up Facebook. They made two different AIs and let them talk to each other.
Facebook?
Yeah, Facebook. They talked. Then the two AIs invented their own language and started communicating, and then Facebook shut it down. They didn't know what they were communicating about.
Wow.
That's interesting to read.
I'll have to check that out.
Hang on a second, Ned. I want to make a note of that. What is it now? Facebook?
Facebook made an AI, made two different ones, and when they started talking back and forth, they ended up making their own language.
That is fascinating.
So they shut the program down.
That's scary.
That really is scary.
It's very scary. Was that your last email?
I think so, yes.
Okay, my last one is from Julia from South Carolina. Hey, Goose and Cronkite, who wants to stop Agenda 21 and the New World Order? We must act now. Advise your listeners, friends, family, and loved ones.
All right.
What do you think about that? Are you going to stop it?
Yes.
Ned, are you going to stop the New World Order and Agenda 21? Well,
No. Just go.
Ned's not going to. So if we're going to stop Agenda,
It just goes, mm-mm.
I have heard of Agenda 21, but I don't know a lot about it. But if we were going to, and we were going to picket and protest, what would you put on your sign?
Stop Agenda 21.
Okay, I would be like,
For the future of the children.
mine would be like, I'm so upset I made this sign.
I see what you did there. I like that.
You like that?
I like that.
Oh, well, we've been going on a little while here. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back. We may have a phone call, somebody calling in specifically to talk to Cronkite. We're also going to, when we come back from the break, in our first segment, talking about some UFO police sightings from the 1970s. And these accounts are on record reported by the police officers. You can always email us. You can call, text, or leave a voicemail by calling 606-373-3396. Or you can email Goose at Here to Chew Bubblegum or Cronkite at HereToChewBubblegum.com. You want to take us out to break?
We'll be right back.
Are you a horror movie fan? Yeah, I dig horror movies. Are you searching for a great internet horror talk radio show to listen to? Why, sure, that sounds quite spiffy. Then you need to tune into Deadpit.com. It's the original horror talk radio show. Deadpit is a show by the fans and for the fans. Uncensored and unbiased opinions are the goal of the show, giving fans honest reviews on new films and vintage classics of the horror genre. Make Deadpit.com your #1 horror station destination.
Goose and Cronkite. Give the guys a break. They're not that bright.
And we're back.
Thank you very much, Ned, for bringing us back. We're going to talk about two cases from 1978 and 1979 that involves police officers. Have you ever heard about any cases involving law enforcement?
I have, yeah.
There was one years ago on Unsolved Mysteries, I think maybe from Ohio, that I watched. I don't remember much about it, but I do remember that the officer chased it.
Yeah,
You know.
we've even talked about the one in Louisville.
Yeah, with the helicopter.
Police helicopter, yeah.
Okay. Well, this first one happened in 1978 in Fresno, California. Manuel Amparno talks about a sighting of an unidentified flying object that occurred at 3:32 a.m. on May 13th, 1978, as it happened only days ago. And he remembers it vividly, that he come face to face with a UFO. Amparno's sighting is one of the most detailed and many accounts of UFO sightings in the Fresno area documented over the years by their newspaper, the Fresno's Bee, and on websites. The Fresno's resident was working as a Kerman police officer, and he was just on routine patrol. And early that morning, he swept past Kerman High School in California, and he saw a circular type thing similar to a round fireball or a sunset setting. This object was about 100 to 150 feet off the ground. He knew local teens had been setting palm trees on fire previously, and he thought he had caught some of the young vandals in the act. Then he realized there were no palm trees in this area. The fire seemed to be inside of an oak or maple tree. This thing started lifting up, he said. The officer adjusted his spotlight on his patrol car to get a better look at the object. But just before he turned the light on, there was a blue flash. The object made a sharp turn and moved away towards the southwest at a rapid speed. He never left his patrol car, and the windows were rolled up because it was a cold evening. He did not hear any noise except for the engine of his car. The National Air Guard and the Weather Bureau in the Fresno terminal showed no unusual signs of anything on the radar screens that night. The encounter may have been dismissed except for the optical illusion burns that he suffered on his face and chest. He described those like a sunburn when you fall asleep at the pool. There were white blisters on parts of my face and body. I also had trouble with sunlight. It was like right after you have your eyes checked and they're sensitive to light, he said. This lasted for about a week. Doctors at the local community hospital in Fresno treated him for the burns that were caused by microwaves. An immediate search of the cotton field where the spear had been sighted revealed no evidence, but for years, nothing would grow in a round area in the field where that happened at.
Oh, that's interesting.
He went back to work a few days later. The only after effect of the close encounter was a lot of women who wanted to have lunch and dinner with me, he joked and said. He continued to work in law enforcement until 1992 when he was hurt breaking up a fight in a bar. He's had more than 2 decades to think about the glowing spear, and he is certain it was an UFO. He also said, what I am not certain about is whether it was some kind of government project or something out there. What do you think about that?
I think that's pretty interesting. Now, all right, so the microwaves thing is what gets me, because that's...
No, I don't think they mean a microwave like you heat your food up in.
Well, no,
So
I
calm down, big boy.
I understand that. What I'm saying is, see, are you going to call me fat again? That's
No,
ridiculous.
I said big boy. You're
That's
working out.
ridiculous.
Man. You're swole, getting muscles.
No, don't try to backpedal now.
I'm not backpedaling.
You mashed potatoes earlier, now you call me a big boy. All right, anyway, so the microwaves
Yes.
that burned him, I think that's what gets me the most because, you can see lights and things like that, but that are unexplained. But the addition to the microwave burns plus the vegetation not growing in the area, that
Is a 100% proof.
I think so.
And I totally agree with you.
I think so. Yeah.
Our second story took place in Missouri in 1979. On August 27th, 1979, Deputy Sheriff Val Johnson of the Marshall County Sheriff's Department was on duty that night, driving around from the North Dakota border. When around 1:40 a.m., he saw a light. You hit the microphone again.
I'm so sorry.
That is okay. We apologize to our listeners.
You know what? Let me do this.
You're just not getting used to these new microphones.
No, well, we have a different
Just
one every
move
week.
it somewhere and leave it alone.
I can't. My hands go everywhere.
All right, there you go.
How about now?
Sounds good. Don't touch it. Anyway, let's see. It was around 1:40.
He's so mad about it. I wish y'all could see his face right now.
No, yours is the one that's red. You're
He's gonna.
embarrassed. I called you out on it.
I think he's gonna punch me.
No. Don't do it again.
I'm knocked out.
Okay. Let's see. Around 1:40 a.m. that morning, he saw a light through his side window. It was obviously not on the road, and it looked too glaring to be a car light. At first, he thought it might be a small plane or a something near the ground. He turned left on another road to get a closer look. Suddenly, the light moved toward him, traveling so fast that it almost instantaneously was upon his car, covering an estimated distance of 1.5 miles. Johnson was blinded by the light and heard glass breaking, and he went unconscious. When he returned to consciousness, the car was stalled. It had skidded across the highway. He felt sluggish and shaky. He radioed headquarters at 2:19 a.m. to request assistance. Soon, another deputy arrived who called an ambulance. The doctor who examined Johnson found him to be in a mild state of shock. His eyes, all right, get this again, his eyes were irritated as if Johnson had suffered mild welder's burns, and Johnson couldn't stand to be exposed to any bright lights, just like in the other story. The patrol car had damage. The inside headlight on the driver's side was smashed out, but not the one to its immediate left. There was also a flat-bottom circular dent on the left side of the front hood, and about a half inch in diameter close to the windshield. There was a crack in the windshield on the driver's side that ran from top to bottom, with four apparent impacts. The electric clock was running 14 minutes slow, as well as his wristwatch, 14 minutes slow. The shaft of the roof antenna was bent at a 60-degree angle. The trunk antenna was bent at a 90-degree angle, but only near the top. No damage occurred to the car's regular antenna on the front hood. Essentially, all the damage to the car occurred on the left or the driver's side. Investigations occurred immediately, both the Sheriff's Department and investigations from the Center for UFO Studies. The police determined that Johnson's car traveled about 950 feet after the first damage occurred.
So he hit this thing.
Yeah, well, hit him.
It hit him.
When he
Okay.
was driving towards it to see if there was a plane or something else, this thing come towards him and hit him. Let's see. No cause could be found for the event, including collision with another vehicle or a low-flying plane. A hoax on part of Johnson or anything else. None of those, all those were ruled out. It could not be a plane. It was not a hoax. And they had experts from Ford Motors to come in and look at the vehicle. And the vehicle he was in was a 1977 Ford LTD. A windshield expert noted that after examining the windshield fractures, even after several days of reflection on the crack patterns and apparent sequence of fractures, he still had no explanation as to what seemed to be an inward and outward force acting simultaneously. I can only conclude that all these cracks were from mechanical forces of unknown origins. That's what the windshield expert from Ford said. No cause could be found for the clock running slow or the other damage to the car. Johnson's eyes did heal, and he suffered no lasting effects. Deputy Johnson's own words in his report was, this is Deputy Val Johnson, I report in connection with an incident which happened on August 29, 1979 at approximately 1:40 a.m. The western section of Marshall County, approximately 10 miles west of Stephen, Minnesota. This officer was on routine patrol headed westbound near Marshall County Road number 5. I got to the intersection of number 5 in Minnesota State 222. When I looked down south 222 to check traffic, I noticed a very bright, brilliant light, 8 to 12 inches in diameter, 3 to 4 feet off the ground. The edges were well defined. I thought that perhaps at first it could be an aircraft in trouble, as it appeared to be landing. So it looked like it was landing. He goes on to say that he proceeded south, and a few minutes later, at the point of interception, is when everything, the unknown object hit his car, and he lost consciousness for a period of 39 minutes.
Wow.
When he arrived to the hospital, he was complaining about sore eyes, and he was diagnosed with a mild case of welder's burn. Now, let me ask you a question. How could a cop on duty at 1:40 in the morning, out virtually and nowhere, nothing around, get welder's burns.
After a car wreck.
Yes.
I have no idea.
So
UFO.
What's that?
UFO.
Exactly.
I knew it.
His eyes were treated, and around 24 hours later, he started to get his vision back.
I knew it from before you started reading it was going to be a UFO. I knew it.
You were exactly right. He still swears to this day that it was an unidentified flying object, and he is still, after all these years, confused about why the clock in his car and his wristwatch both were exactly 14 minutes behind. What's your thoughts on that one?
Well, he lost time, and there's always a lot of abductions we'll talk about
Well,
losing time.
let me ask you a question though. They were 14 minutes behind, but he was unconscious for 39 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened during those 39 minutes?
Well, he's probably sleeping. He's unconscious.
Well, something else had to happen though.
Do you think he was abducted?
Well, I mean, if from the time that he went unconscious until he regained conscious, looks to me like the
you're
clock in
thinking-
his car and wristwatch would be 39 minutes versus 14 minutes.
Maybe. I mean, maybe the 14 minutes was just how long the field was there, and then he was not. I don't know. Maybe he was abducted.
Okay.
It's interesting story.
When somebody gets abducted, there's 9 minutes of,
Yeah.
I think, Cronkite.
Yeah. Cronkite said that last week. You remember saying that? It
9
might have been a
minutes.
few weeks ago.
I lost 9 minutes last
Okay.
week. I can't remember.
What are you doing?
I'm scratching this thing off.
So I'm sitting here reading a story, doing the show, and I look over and he has a pink highlighter and a pen, and he's like drawing on it. What, did you want a fidget spinner?
I'm scratching the zip code off of it.
We do
Barcode.
we do have some fidget spinners here in Bunker Studios.
Well, I'm afraid I'm going to hit the microphone. You're going to yell at me again, so I'm just trying to do this.
Is the show this boring to you?
No, I'm just terrified I'm going to hit the microphone. You're going to scream at me. So I'm just trying to. I don't like being yelled at.
Okay.
So lock
Well,
down. I'm going to lock down over here.
I won't hit you again.
I'm just going to lock down.
Okay. Well, again, the best time to scrape off barcodes off highlighters is during the show.
I've always said that, and I've always believed it to be true.
Well, good. We're going to go to a call from a friend of Cronkite's named Matt that called in earlier in the show. And when we come back, we will have News with Cronkite. And as he does that, I think I'm going to find a coloring book and color.
Maybe a crossword.
Crosswords are good.
Mm-hmm.
We have a very special guest on the line, Cronkite, one of your friends. You want to set this up for us?
Sure. The other night I was talking to my buddy here, Matt, and we got into a hot and heavy discussion about JFK. And if you remember last week, we were talking about the top 10 conspiracy theories, and JFK was on there. Matt, if you want to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about JFK, what's your theories and thoughts on it?
Well, I have researched it quite a bit in my downtime on and off throughout the years. I have, probably several theories that are plausible. I keep falling back to Lyndon Johnson as being the main player. Everything I saw pretty much one way or another leads back to him.
I definitely agree with that.
I'm sorry.
I definitely agree with that. If you look back at the film when they are swearing LBJ in on Air Force One directly after the assassination, he's even laughing before he realizes the cameras are recording.
Yeah, and you mentioned that in last week's show as well.
And then he tries to put on this act like it's a very somber sorrow. He's not. You know what I mean? He's not at all. Now Matt has an interesting theory about why he believes that LBJ is responsible. Where was that lady from, Matt?
I can't remember where it was from. She was from. I'll have to go back and look. Let's see if I can get it loaded up here. It was a mistress, someone he stopped and I evidently had spent the night with throughout his travels. I can't remember the state or anything. I'll try to find it. But she had brought up JFK in a conversation they were having about whatever, and he made the comment. She's like, "Oh, John F. Kennedy, blah blah blah," and he made the comment, "Well, after next week, you're not going to have to worry about John Kennedy."
Wow.
And that was
Kind of left it at that. She didn't respond. She didn't ask for details. She kind of just left it alone. But she said it was something that always was on her mind, and then all of a sudden, here this happens. So that was pretty wild.
yeah, definitely. LBJ, definitely I believe was the mastermind. Now, do you think that Lee Harvey Oswald was the one who took the shot?
I do, in a way. There's a lot of evidence that does support the fact that he was, that he was the shooter. Even some things recently, I learned that he had actually made an assassination attempt on Eisenhower.
Oh, really?
I had no clue of that.
And he had spoken of another assassination attempt. Was it Eisenhower? I can't remember if it was the president before. I have to go back and look. I can't remember, but he had spoke of an attempt on a former president, and he had actually attempted Eisenhower.
Wow. So, I mean, what stopped him from assassinating Eisenhower? Was he stopped by guards or whatever? Or
It was if I'm not mistaken, you would think this would be more out there, but there was a shot. He fired a shot in Texas.
Well, this kind of goes back with the conspiracy, though. I mean, if he fired the shot, missed, or whatever, and then was captured, if it was a ploy by the next man in line, LBJ, then
Now-
it could have been used.
Now, do you think it was a ploy or a plan by Johnson, or that he was just part of the puzzle for other people involved behind the scenes?
There had to be other people involved. It was too big of an ordeal for just Lyndon Johnson to say, "Hey, let's get this done." There had to be players throughout the government and other high up, organizations or what have you, to pull something like that off, and for it to still be a mystery today of the actual, what actually happened. If you tried something like that today, you have 50 people begging to tell a story.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now,
But
do you think after it happened that everybody that was involved may have been assassinated themselves by somebody else just to keep their mouth shut?
Well, that's another story, that you can get into. I've read and watched clips of interviews from a worker at the train station, which was behind the grassy knoll, that said that they did see two subjects there behind the grassy knoll. There was a train yard worker also in the field, that was saying, hey, I saw somebody behind the grassy knoll behind the fence. I think one of them died in a car wreck not long after that. One of them died of supposed heart attack not after that. Just different things happened to them shortly after the assassination that they were wiped out. So, you can go that way with it. On the one side of the fence, you can say, well, everything I saw looks like, Oswald did do it. The trajectory was right once you actually, take into that far into it, the way the limousine sat and the order of the seats and the height of the seats. That all of it makes sense that Oswald was the man. And then, you go this other way, the way he was hit, the way his head moved when the shot rang out would make you think, there was somebody at the grassy knoll. You've got these witnesses, but hey, they've been taken out. So it's just, you can go forever with it. And in either direction, you can go a mile with it either way. There's so much to it. That's what makes it so interesting in my book, that there's just so many conclusions you can draw from different things that you hear and see.
Yeah, definitely. And, there are many, many theories and conspiracy theories and rabbit holes and everything you can just go down. This thing goes forever. But something that I was talking to one of my other friends about this week was there was a film supposedly slowed down enough that the driver of the limousine looked like he'd actually maybe shot Kennedy as well.
It does. It'll shock you when you first see it.
Yeah, Ned mentioned that to us last week, and actually, when we took a break, showed us that footage. What's your take on that new theory?
It looks, I mean, if you're just watching videos on the internet and hit play, you would immediately assume that the driver turned around and popped him. Like nothing, like nobody's business, and turned around and just kept driving.
Now, why do you think it is that nobody's ever noticed that before, and all these years later, people is starting to notice
Well,
that?
they have. I saw videos on it. I saw things on it before to where it looks like the driver did it. I don't remember the details. That they pretty much debunked it, as far as I know. And the main thing is, if the driver turned around and smoked him right then, John Connolly and his wife should have been the first ones to say, "Hey, the driver turned around and just started shooting."
Unless they were in on it as well.
Neither one of them ever. Yeah, I mean it's possible. I'm not gonna say it's not. And then what about Jackie? She was setting face forward. You thought she would have been able to determine if the driver would turn around and pull the trigger.
Yeah, that's a good point, because if you watch the video, she was definitely distraught. She was surprised.
Yeah, but, I mean, let's say you've seen this happen. You're in shock. And what if somebody, comes to you after this is like, look, they could have threatened her, strong armor, not to say anything.
Definitely could have.
That's true.
Now, this is...
After all these years, you would think, though. I mean, I don't know. It's like I say, you can go that way with it also. It's wild.
Well, and you also look at their son, who died in a plane crash. He was getting old enough and starting to show an interest in politics.
Yeah, definitely.
And then his plane crash.
Well, see, didn't John Connolly, didn't he get shot as well?
I think so, yes. I think he did. What about the driver? Do you know what happened to the driver after that? Did he die mysteriously, or?
It's a good question. I'll see if I can find that while we're on the phone here.
Okay. Because of Kennedy, it's something that I have looked at before. I've not dug in it as much as you and Cronkite and Ned have. But, I have been to that spot. A couple of years ago, I was in Dallas. And it is just surreal, because even on the road, they have a white X painted on the street, where it happened at,
Well, and, we talk about, how many rabbit holes this could go down, and we almost talk about like a death curse that the Kennedys have on them. And you think about when we've discussed, Illuminati and the theories that are out there, you almost wonder if the Kennedys have become an enemy of, the powers that
Right.
be, maybe the world families, something like that. So maybe not so much a death curse as it is where we're just going to wipe them from the face of history.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Matt, we appreciate you calling in. I'm going to ask you one more question. And why do you think that this was done to Kennedy? What do you think the reason was? Power?
I think Kennedy, probably you had Kennedy was the Trump of his time. They couldn't control him. They were worried about what he was going to do next. You had Cuba going on at that time. You had Lyndon Johnson upset that he was at the end of his career, and he had literally no power. Kennedy kept him on a leash.
Right.
And he wanted that control, and he wanted that power.
Now, people have written into our show before and stuff, and we actually just read one earlier in the show that said, Kennedy was killed because of what he knew. And they meant in reference to UFOs and stuff to that effect. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, I think it's a great, it's a good possibility. The UFOs, is in my book, without a doubt, real. Like I say, I lean more towards the power from what I've seen on Johnson and how his personality was and what he wanted out of his political career. It just seems more plausible in my book that, Johnson wanted it for the power and for the control of the things he wanted to get done before his career ended.
Well, and what a spectacular way to do it too. You have the nation is reeling, and you have this vice president that steps in takes over almost like a hero. So yeah, I mean, he would. That makes sense too.
Yeah, it definitely does. Matt, we thank
Like
you.
him wanting sworn in so quickly, he insisted on being sworn in before that plane left the ground in Dallas.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He wanted it done right now before anything can happen, before any minds could wander. He wanted to be the president before that plane ticked off the ground in Dallas.
And he was.
Yeah. Yeah, he was. Well, Matt, thank you very much for calling in. We would love to talk to you again sometime. And we also, next month, we're going to have a round table. We already have enough people for that one, but I think about 4 round tables per year. How does that sound to you, Cronkite? Every 3 months we'll do a round table?
That sounds good.
We will do a second round table, like maybe in June, and we would love to have you in the studios to talk about that and some other topics if you're up for that.
That sounds good to me.
All right. Thank you very much, Matt, and you have a great day. And don't forget to tell everybody to listen to Here to Chew Bubblegum. Hey everyone, this is Goose from Here to Chew Bubblegum. I want to tell you about my friend T-Shirt Joe at FastCustomShirts.com. T-Shirt Joe is your go-to guy for all your custom work. Also, you can check out their website and find artist originals, college shirts, comics, famous folk, fetish, military, movie shirts, occupations, podcast and website shirts, plus he has face masks and many other items over at FastCustomShirts.com. While there at their website, you can sign up for their newsletter. Or you can give Joe a call at area code 361-814-9212. That's 361-814-9212 to contact my friend T-Shirt Joe at FastCustomShirts.com.
It's now time for Ned Said on Here to Chew Bubblegum.
Hey Ned, how was the weather last week?
It was cold, snow. Peanut butter's good on crackers.
Thanks, Ned.
Dan, welcome back. I'm Cronkite. It's News with Cronkite. This man sitting next to me is Ned for Ned Said. We have a segment we were supposed to finish up for last week. And also, Goose.
Hey.
So we'll just jump right into it. You ready for this?
Yeah.
All right. So last week I reported that UFOs over Utah from Elon Musk's latest project. And we all know what that is, but of course it's making headlines again. So reports of the line of UFOs have been seen flying in Utah's stormy skies have been circulating since about 5:30 a.m. on the date is not here, but it was last week. So ABC4 placed a call to Hill Air Force Base, the 388th Fighter Wing, and asked if it was an Air Force and their high-tech jets. The Air Force spokesperson said, "We are not flying this morning. Maybe it was the Starlink satellites." Now, of course, this was a long line of bright-colored or just bright objects,
Right.
Which the picture looked a lot like the last time we reported on Starlink. So, Starlink satellites help provide internet service around the Earth. They are the project of Elon Musk's and have been placed in the sky by SpaceX. Because the satellites catch reflections from the sun, they reflect as new constellation or UFOs, as they are seen in the sky as well as when they pass by. A website recommended by SpaceX for tracking the satellites says they were right over the Utah area, actually that morning. And the website said you could see them for about 2 minutes, and the status was "quote unquote" bright. So the Starlink satellites have been causing UFO reports all over the world because of how they appear to be moving in a line over the Earth. But it's not aliens this time, just another high-tech project, unexpectedly surprising people all over the world, and it was in Utah. So there's 2 things in Utah that we've been talking about heavily this week. But
Yes.
this is man-made for sure.
Definitely. What do you think about the Starlink satellites?
I'm excited for it because it's supposed to be giving you cheap, high-speed internet all over the world.
But it costs about $500 to get started, I think, doesn't it?
It's now available in this area.
Is it?
It is. It's the beta version. I think you're right. It is like 500.
Yeah,
like
to get
99.
everything.
Well, once it becomes a mass production, though, it's supposed to be when it's available to everyone. It's supposed to be cheap, high-speed internet across the globe, which is good.
Oh, very good. There was a guy on my personal Facebook page that had got it. He lives in Winchester, and people were asking him questions about it, and he said he would actually post a review after he received all the stuff.
That's awesome.
So,
No, I hope it's worth it. I
Me
mean, I would
too.
definitely go for it.
Oh, definitely.
Now, because you wouldn't have to worry about. I wonder how they deal with like cloud cover and stuff with satellites.
I don't know. That's a good question. You know, and too, in the spring when the leaves and stuff come out, summertime.
So, all right, worst feared in 2021 is if history repeats itself according to strained pattern and theories. History might be repeated 80 years later, as events from 1938 to 1941 have an eerie coincidence with events from 2018 to 2020 so far. If conspiracy theories are to be believed, 2021 could be the worst.
Really, last year was pretty bad.
I don't know. It's saying this year could be a lot worse. So there's a saying that history repeats itself. Looking at everything that has happened in 2020, it seems this saying is true. The coronavirus pandemic was the first major outbreak in 100 years after the Spanish flu, which took place in 1920. However, there is a bizarre theory floating around social media about events from 1938 to 1941 that have an eerie connection to events from 2018 to 2020 so far. If the bizarre pattern is anything to go by, then 2021 could be a whole lot worse. Following some events by which conspiracy theories have connected the dots. So in 1938, France hosted the FIFA World Cup. Italy went on to win the tournament for a second time. However, the year after that, in 1939, Australia was ravaged by some of the worst brush fires in history. In the Black Friday bushfire incidents on January 13th, 1939, 71 people died and almost 2,000 homes were gutted across states, primarily in New South Wales and Victoria. In 1940, the Tokyo Olympics was scheduled to be held but was canceled due to the outbreak of World War II. Now, 80 years later, the events are more or less being played out in a similar way. Okay.
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
In 2018, France won the FIFA World Cup, although the tournament was hosted in Russia. Apart from this slight, adjustment, many people argue the common connection is France. The rest of the events are similar to events 80 years ago. In 2019, Australia was again ravaged by brush fires, which killed 34 people and decimated 6,000 homes. Once again, New South Wales and Victoria bore the brunt of the state of emergency, and a state of emergency was declared. In 2020, the Tokyo Olympics, which was supposed to be held, has now been postponed due to the coronavirus pandemic to 2021. This is where the catch is. In 1941, Japan bombed Pearl Harbor, and that brought the USA into the Second World War. The Pacific theater of World War II saw the USA beating back Japan. Now in 2021, will that be the scenario? India and China are on the brink of escalating tensions along the line of actual control. Tensions are flaring up all over the world with regards to China and the United States in a trade war. With the elections due in November of 2020 in the United States, it would be interesting to see how 2021 pans out, whether it be for the worst or for the better. What do you think about that, Goose?
I've always said that sports are dangerous.
They certainly are.
So I hope that does not happen because I think 2020 was a bad year with the coronavirus outbreak, wearing a mask. And do you wear a mask when you go out in public?
For the most part, yeah.
Now, do you do it because you believe you need the mask or just a respect for other people?
A respect for other people.
That's the same reason I do it as well.
Yeah, I do it as a respect for other people, and I'm not a biologist, so I don't know how this thing is actually, or a biologist or a chemicalist or whoever studies this crap.
I'm not a biologist either.
Whoever studies this crap, I don't do it. I don't know anything about it, so I just do what they tell me.
No, we never study fish.
Yeah, I don't know anything about being ambidextrous or the ambidextrous things.
Okay. You have another story for us?
Oh yeah, sure. That was a joke. I don't think you caught.
Yeah.
Being amphibian. Okay, anyway.
I did. Left, right handed. I know.
So
I just laugh when it's funny.
We'll be right back. Pete Goose right here. Ex-director of the Air Force program says they know what UFOs are, and in his very last interview, or I say I misread that. I'm sorry. Ex-director of the Air Force says UFO programs, they know what they are, and that was his last interview. The UFO phenomenon has been studied by military and intelligence agencies for more than 70 years. After years of lies, secrecy, ridicule, and denial, it's now quite evident that this is the case. Video recordings, photos, radar trackings, and testimony from what seems to be thousands of people from within these departments have made this quite clear. UFOs are real, but the idea that they are extraterrestrial and extra-dimensional is something that mainstream media has stayed away from. And modern-day disclosure organizations like To the Stars Academy seem to be more focused on the reality of these objects and their demonstrated capabilities, while gently discussing the extraterrestrial hypothesis. That being said, it's quite clear that the masses are being groomed in a way to accept the reality that many of these objects don't originate from Earth. Evident in the fact that an established mouthpiece, the New York Times covered a story about possible retrievals of off-world vehicles. A film recently released by director James Fox titled The Phenomenon explores the extraterrestrial UFO issue, navigating the long-standing cover-up and global mystery involving unidentified aerial phenomenon. The film features a number of former intelligent military personnel sharing what they can about UFOs and the extraterrestrial hypothesis. In 1958 through 1962, one of these men was Colonel Robert Friend, a Tuskegee airman who, from 58 to 62, I apologize, was a director of Project Blue Book, which was at the time the U.S. Air Force program to investigate UFOs. Now, we've talked about this.
Yes,
we have actually discussed this, and it just ended, just abruptly ended. And we talked about, why would they end that? Because they know what they are, right?
Well, yes, definitely. They know what they are. They may have found, what they were looking for.
Yeah, exactly. So the program was mysteriously shut down, giving the perception that there wasn't much to investigate in the public eye. But with what we know, or what we now know, that doesn't seem to be the case. The interview in the film was the last before his death, and in it he makes extreme suggestive comments that the U.S. Air Force closed Project Blue Book because they had found the answers they were looking for.
And that's just
essentially
what
we just said. Yeah,
exactly.
The clip suggests that the Air Force knew what these objects were. Having been a UFO researcher myself for more than 15 years, I can tell you that just as they were evidence for the idea that UFOs were real when they were in the conspiracy category, there is ample evidence suggesting that many of these objects are indeed extraterrestrial. The topic, as I've said many times, leaves no aspect of humanity untouched. It provides new insight into the nature of our reality, science, history, technology, metaphysics, and will impact human consciousness in a major way. That's pretty cool.
Yes, that is very cool.
It's very cool.
And when you think about it, when they shut down Project Blue Book like that, and then, 2007, Senator Reid said they'd opened it, not Project Blue Book, but a different project to discover UAPs.
Yeah, definitely. So the I mentioned earlier I would talk about the AI stuff, and
yes.
I've not actually been able to confirm this because I actually found this last night. So I've not been able to confirm tonight, but this was actually from September 22nd of 2020.
Okay.
It says a tragedy in Japanese laboratory. Many scientists eliminated by 4 artificial intelligent robots, according to Linda Moulton. So now I don't know. Like I said, this just come across last night, late last night, early this morning, and it may be a satire piece. I don't know. I'm going to do some research, and I'll get back to you guys on next week.
Do some research. Get back to us. We have Ned at the table.
Ned, how are you?
Pretty good. How are you guys doing?
Tell us all about it. Tell us about your week. How's your week been?
Been pretty good.
Yeah? What'd you do?
Nothing.
Sounds like a great week to me.
Great week.
Pretty good week. Well, so last week we started talking about the top 10 conspiracy theories.
Right.
Have you given any more thought to any of that?
Well, the ones we went over, just the 9/11, I said I'd do a little bit of research on it.
Okay.
Catch up. What I did is there's so much stuff, we'd be here for days if we went through it all. So I picked the top 3 conspiracy theories. When it comes to 9/11, the first one is the Twin Towers was brought down by explosives, not planes.
Okay.
They say the official report stated the towers failed to do failed due to severe structural damage caused by the planes and resulting fires. Conspiracy theorists argued that the fires did not burn long enough, which is 56 minutes in the case of the South Tower, to cause the collapse. So that's one of the conspiracies. The second one is a missile hit the Pentagon, not an airplane.
I've heard that one. Yeah.
The reason they think that is the early video footage and the photos taken from the scene did not seem to show much evidence of a plane wreckage. And they argue that the structural damage to the building was too minor to be made by a commercial airline. Number 3, United Airlines Flight 93 was shot down. The official reports say the passengers on board attempted to take back the plane, and the struggle caused them to crash. So they're saying that, they were shot down because the plane records that they released to the public, there wasn't enough plane. They said it was just a small area and it should have been bigger. So that's the top 3.
Well, I do know that the way that they described that aircraft hitting the ground, that it was a high angle, high speed impact. So there wouldn't be much left of that aircraft, and it was a very deep crater. But that's the first time I've actually heard of that one. I don't know.
There was black box audio too
Right.
of that.
Well, see, you're into the plane crashes, so what's your take? You want me to read this, what it says, and you give your take on
Yeah, sure.
the wreck? All right, so according to official reports, the passengers on board Flight 93 attempted to take back the plane from the hijackers. The struggle caused the aircraft to crash into an open field in Pennsylvania. As with the Pentagon attack, theorists state that there's little plane wreckage was actually discovered in the field, and the crash site itself was too small for an airliner that size, arguing instead that the plane was shot down by the military, so it disintegrated over a large area.
Well, if you, I know in past investigations that I've researched, you look at when an aircraft is shot down or it has a catastrophic decompression or it just starts breaking up on its own, that debris is scattered over a long period, and you would see that debris. Is there any evidence, for that there are large pieces of this airplane or small pieces of this airplane anywhere else besides, was it Shanksville, Pennsylvania?
Yeah, Shanksville.
Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Plus, you look at the size of the crater. Again, looking back at some of the investigations that I've seen, is that when an aircraft hits the ground at a high speed, a high angle of attack, it fragments that airplane, almost completely disintegrates it. There's not much left of it, bigger than a piece of paper or a tabletop or something like that. Now, when you have, have you've seen the air crash at San Diego or San Francisco where the 777, AirAsia flight landed, it hit the back of the plane, hit the ground, and it kind of twirled around and crashed.
No, I didn't see that.
It was a crash landing. So, you think about the force that it would take for the rear of that aircraft to come off of that plane. It literally took we'll say 200-ton airplane or whatever, smashing against some rocks to break the back of that aircraft off. And then there was still it broke off in one piece. So falling out of the sky and being powered into the ground, it would be a very high speed impact. And so I believe that it would just have shattered.
Right. So go back to the Pentagon. The conspiracy theorists are saying that the structural damage to the building was too minor to be made by a commercial airliner.
Well, the Pentagon is supposed to be one of the most secure buildings in the world.
And it's huge. It has several layers.
And it's all concrete, very thick concrete, right?
Yes.
I guess.
So, I don't know. Again,
They claim that there's not enough parts laying around. The hole wasn't big enough.
it's entirely possible, I suppose. Because, I've seen the security footage from the parking lot. And there's nothing 1 second and then an explosion the next. You don't actually see an aircraft, except for the witnesses,
Now,
saying that.
years ago, when this first happened, there was a gas station across the street that had footage. I actually did see that one time.
And they removed it.
And, yeah, I've not saw that again, but you actually did see an aircraft. Now, it did look large to me. But, I don't know if it was a big aircraft or just like a, what do they call it, the taxi aircraft, the smaller ones. I I have no idea.
I guess from my take of what these conspiracy theorists are saying, if a commercial airline brought down the towers, why did they do such minor damage to?
Well, okay, all right. Look at the towers. You know, they were built like I did know at one time when they were built.
I think 60s and 70s.
Okay, was it 60s and 70s?
I think so.
Okay, but you've got a huge plane that lands in one tower. Okay, and on the high floors, high up. Okay, there is weight support. You know, because I'm just imagine how a plane that has all the fuel that it can hold on it. That's a lot of weight. That is a lot of weight. And if you've got fires and stuff, you know, and, you know, jet fuel burns, you know, I think just the weight, you know.
They also say if you watch the videos when they collapse, you can see, like.
Now,
are you talking about the loose change videos?
I'm not sure about that.
I've seen those videos you're talking about, and yeah,
You can see it looks like it exploding.
Well, but
At the same time, when it collapses, you know, it's going to push out. So.
Right, and the way those buildings were constructed is, yes, you had the core supports, but you also had a lot of the structure was on the outside. And essentially, I think the way that I understood that the towers collapsed was the inside collapsed first, and then as it fell down, it pulled the outside in. So that would make sense why you would see stuff coming out, because each floor would be pancaking down on the next one. But now, to Goose's point, you think about, I mean, those buildings are 110 stories, something like that, and those planes crashed on the 88th or something.
Yeah, floor.
They were pretty high up. They were pretty high up, but they still had a lot of weight above them. Even, yes, okay, so you wouldn't need as much heat to weaken that steel enough to collapse those buildings because of the amount of weight. But yes, I understand what they're saying. You know, you can't bend steel at 56 minutes burning, blah blah blah. But you also have to look at jet fuel. Jet fuel is essentially just kerosene. It's very oily. Just it will stick to stuff, stick to anything, and burn. And it burns slow because that's what it's designed to do. It's not like gasoline. When it just explodes, it's gone. You know what I mean? So it's going to stick there. It's going to burn. It's going to heat everything up. It's going to create a weakness. Now, I'm not saying that's what happened. I mean, that's what I believe happened, and I believe that's what the official story is. But that's what we're talking about. You're the conspiracy guy.
I just gave you the top 3 conspiracies on it, and my take.
Well,
all right. Well,
thank you very much, Ned. We enjoy having you on the show.
Absolutely. So, are you ready to get back into the next 5 top 10?
Sure.
All righty. All right. So, Paul McCartney's death. Have you heard of this one?
We even talked about this on the show.
Yeah, a couple weeks ago we talked about this. It says, according to many stories on the conspiracy theories that circulated in the 1960s, Beatles guitarist Paul McCartney died in 1966. The remaining members of the Beatles, along with their manager and others, conspired to keep McCartney's death a secret, going as far to hire a look-alike and sound-alike to take his place in the band. Well, kind of, it says. In a case of seriously twisted logic, even by conspiracy theory standards, the conspirators in this case took great pains to keep the press and public from finding out about McCartney's demise. Yet they also wanted fans to know about it and placed clever clues in album covers and music giving details about McCartney's death. For example, on the cover of the Abbey Road album, all 4 Beatles are photographed striding across a zebra crossing, but only McCartney is barefoot and out of step with the other 3. This must mean something, right? Despite public denials by the band, fans couldn't just let it be and came together to look for more clues. Have you heard anything about that one? What do you think about it?
I've not heard about that one. I've heard about Avril Lavigne. She has a doppelganger. Rumors that she died, and
I haven't heard that.
Her identity was taken over by a doppelganger. There's a big thing about it. They compare photos, videos, different facial features. It's pretty wild.
I've heard about that one. They basically do the same thing in the Paul McCartney one.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah.
That story is not.
All right, so you haven't heard it. Goose, you're older than hell. What do you think about it?
Told you, man, I never liked the Beatles. Just a few songs. you know, I don't know enough about it to just.
Right.
I mean, you know,
Well, that's me. I don't know enough about it, and really have never really researched it enough to look at it. Sorry, I'm getting quiet again. I've never really researched it enough to.
Well, that's not your type of music, anyway.
Right,
Like
right.
Dirty Dancing.
Right, exactly.
yeah.
So the Roswell crash cover-up. Do you know what Roswell was? If you say no,
No. Yeah, Roswell, but I mean, I've not done any research on it. Not any,
Just what you've heard on the
just
show.
what I've heard on the show.
all right. Well, I guess that was good enough.
That's all you and Goose
All right.
here.
There is one fact that almost all skeptics and believers agree on. Something crashed in a remote ranch outside of Roswell, New Mexico in 1947. The government at first claimed it was some sort of saucer, then retracted the statement and claimed it was really a weather balloon. Yet the best evidence suggested that it was neither a flying saucer nor a weather balloon, but instead a high-altitude, top-secret military balloon dubbed Project Mogul. As it turned out, descriptions of the wreckage first reported by the original eyewitnesses very closely matched photos of the Project Mogul balloons, down to the silvery finish and strange symbols on its side. The stories about crashed alien bodies did not surface until decades later, and in fact, no one considered the Roswell crash as anything extraterrestrial or unusual until 30 years later when a book on the topic was published. There was indeed a cover-up, but it did not hide a crashed saucer. Instead, it hid a Cold War-era spying satellite program. Balloon thing.
No, disagree.
Ned?
Disagree.
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 I've never heard of this next one. Maybe you have, and I don't know, but I'm not. I don't research as much conspiracies as you do. So maybe
Well,
you
what
have
is
heard
it?
of this. Well,
Let's get to it, Cronkite.
how about you watch how you talk to me? Protocols of the Elders Zion.
No.
I have heard of that. I think.
Okay. The Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion is a hoaxed book that purported to reveal a Jewish conspiracy to achieve world domination. It first appeared in Russia in 1905 and described how Christians' morality, finances, and health would be targeted by a small group of powerful Jews. The idea that there was a Jewish conspiracy is nothing new, of course, and has been repeated by many prominent people, including Henry Ford and Mel Gibson. In 1920, Henry Ford paid to have 500,000 copies of the Protocols of the Elders of Zion published, and in the 1930s, the book was used by the Nazis as justification for the genocide against Jews.
Henry Ford, as in.
Ford Motor Company.
Interesting.
Though the book has been completely discredited as a hoax and forgery, it is still in print and remains widely circulated around the world. I've never heard of this, so I don't know. What do you think?
That's. I mean, I had just heard of it. I didn't research it. You know, I mean, it come from Russia, right?
Yeah.
So you know, and during the time, when was it written?
Let's see. It first appeared in Russia in 1905.
Okay, no, I say, hands down,
Yeah, I believe
thumbs
so too.
down.
Yeah, I believe so too. And that's just, yeah, that's
Weird.
yeah. Satanic cults.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, you ready for this one?
No, not really.
Throughout the 1980s and the early 90s, a rash of child abuse cases horrified America. Children accused adults of ritual rapes, torture, and abuse, and the news media reported the sensational stories, often the accusations including charges of Satanism. The pinnacle was Geraldo Rivera's infamous NBC
What?
special. I have
Geraldo Rivera. Gerardo was a singer from the 90s.
Can we do a pass on this?
wait a second. There is an L in there.
Yeah.
Geraldo.
Yeah.
You're right.
Geraldo.
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 Geraldo Rivera's. I don't know who that is.
You never watched? He used to have a talk show.
What, back in the 80s?
Yes.
I was 4.
So?
I didn't understand the English back then.
Okay.
You barely understand it.
Geraldo Rivera's infamous NBC special Devil Worship, Exposing Satan's Underground, which aired on October 28, 1988, Rivera relied on self-proclaimed Satanism experts, misleading and inaccurate statistics, crimes with only tenuous links to Satanism, and sensationalized media reports in what was the largest viewership for documentary and television history. Rivera claimed that an organized satanic conspiracy was at work, killing babies, murdering innocents, and conducting ghastly rituals. There are over 1 million Satanists in the country, Rivera said, adding that the odds are they are in your hometown. Rivera presented no proof. The lack of evidence was seen as proof, and how well organized and shrewd the satanic conspiracy really was. Yet little evidence supports claims about satanic cults or conspiracies. In 1992 report on a ritual crime, FBI agent Kenneth Lanning concluded that the rampant rumors of ritual murders, cannibalism, and kidnapping were unfounded. Philip Stevens Jr., associate professor of anthropology at the State University of New York at Buffalo, said that the widespread allegations of crimes by Satanists can constitute the greatest hoax perpetrated upon the American people in the 20th century. What do you think?
I don't want no part of that one.
You didn't even listen to it, did you?
I stopped when you was halfway through.
This is your segment.
Yeah, but not satanic. No, I'm good. It's not as interesting.
I'm asking you if you've heard of it.
No, I have not. Not at all. That's not my topic.
I had heard of it, yeah. But, I also agree with Ned. That's something I don't like to talk about.
Yeah, it's
All
just
right.
not my topic.
You know.
It's not my cup of tea.
Big Pharma.
Ooh.
Can you talk about Big Pharma?
Yeah, read what you got there. I have a few. Just read what you got.
All right. Almost everybody, except investors, loves to
What
hate.
did you think about that last story?
I have no idea. I didn't listen to any of it.
Oh, okay.
I just read it.
Put
Okay.
the marker down, Cronkite.
No. Almost everybody, except investors, loves to hate the drug companies. Drugs cost too much, drug company profits are obscene, and it seems that every few months some drug once claimed to be safe is yanked off the shelf after patients die. It's little wonder that the drug industry, Big Pharma, is looked upon with suspicion. But some proponents of alternative medicine believe that the drug companies actually conspire to keep people sick to reap profits. For example, Kenneth Trudeau, best-selling author of Natural Curses They Don't Want You to Know About, claims that important medical information is being kept hidden by a conspiracy between the medical establishment and big drug companies. According to Trudeau, there are certain groups, including the drug industry, that don't want people to know about cures for diseases. Actress and model Jenny McCarthy appeared on Larry King Live, accusing doctors and the pharmaceutical industry of conspiring to suppress evidence of a link between childhood vaccines and autism.
Here's my take on Big Pharma. I personally believe that let's talk the C word. I know they say you're not supposed to say it on any kind of recording, but the C word, the big C. I think there's a cure for it. The reason why it's not been released is look how much money they make every year on it.
I think there's been a cure for it for a long
Oh,
time.
absolutely. But why would you, from a business standpoint, why would you say, okay, here you can have this for X amount of dollars, or I can give you 100 treatments for a lot more money?
Right.
You know, they don't care who lives and dies. They're all about the almighty dollar.
Well, at the same point, go back and look at Magic Johnson.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he did not have, what you're talking about. But look how long he's been alive since he came out and said he had HIV and AIDS.
Right.
And he's still alive 30 years later
Yeah,
when other people have died,
It's all about the money. Like it's supply and demand, I guess you'd call it.
I totally agree with you there.
You make more money offering treatments than a cure. So
I agree.
I mean, the pandemic right now, they made a vaccine and
Quick.
quick.
Yeah.
So,
Which kind of makes you think maybe they already had the vaccine
there's
before the
intelligent people
virus
out here.
broke out.
I think there's a cure. I mean, there's a cure for a lot of stuff. It's just it comes down to the dollar. What can they make more money on, the cure or the treatment?
Right.
You're right.
Well, and it also could be linked into population control.
Definitely.
If people can't afford to, have their medicines, then
What about insulin? Here it's like hundreds of dollars, isn't it? In
Yeah.
other countries,
it's almost
Almost nothing.
Yeah.
it's all about the money.
Yeah.
So, was that all you had?
That's all I have.
Okay.
For
Now,
news.
we had some more homework. The 4 people we want to meet in history. I'll go first.
Okay.
Abraham Lincoln.
Okay. Why? Question.
The question I would ask him is how he dealt with the stress during his presidency in the Civil War. Number 2 is Billy the Kid, just because I've always been fascinated with Billy the Kid in Old West, and I would like to see if Pat Garrett did shoot him or if he died in the early 80s under the alias Brushy Bill Roberts. Number 3 would be Leonard Nimoy, just to see what it was like on filming Star Trek and what he really thought about it, because he had the old show. What was the Unexplained Mysteries? Was that the name of it? Mm-hmm. And I was always a fan of that. Let's see. Number 4 would be George Papard from the A-Team. I would ask him how long it took Mr. T to get ready. And number 5, I guess, would be Andre the Giant.
We had to do 5. I thought you said 4.
Well, I did an extra one because I'm an overachiever.
I see.
Number 5 would be Andre the Giant. And I would ask him, just, what it was like facing all that he did, his demons and all that and stuff. So,
Ned, what's your 5?
4.
4. If you're asking me who's the 4 people that I like to go back in time,
Anytime, any. I mean, it could be live right now. It could be me. I don't know. You want to ask me some stuff?
no, not really. I
I'll
don't like
jack you
talking
up.
to people right now. So, Dale Earnhardt.
That's a good one.
Can't use that. I used that last week. That's mine.
No, I don't have anybody.
You don't have anybody? Cronkite?
Not that I can think of.
You wouldn't want to go in time. And
If the
ask
listeners hear
anybody.
static, it's not static. It's Cronkite and the marker again.
If you can't hear it,
What are you doing to the marker now?
scratch another side off.
Oh, my
Listen.
gosh.
Maybe the Wright brothers.
Okay, how come?
That'd be a good one.
Yeah, just ask them. What made them think that they could fly? Like birds, maybe. I don't know. I don't really have anybody that I want to go back and talk to. What about you, Cronkite?
I got a few.
Okay, well,
Oh, do you want to hear them?
yes.
Okay. I'd want to talk to JFK. I want to know who killed him.
How did he
Well,
know?
I don't think he would know who killed him, though.
It was like,
He would know right now. He's dead. He knows all.
Okay.
I will want to talk to Leonardo da Vinci. I would want to know how he got the idea of a flying machine. and
Okay.
How tough it was to do all that. I would also want to speak to Jesus Christ.
that's a good one.
And, of course, Dale Earnhardt.
You can't. You used that last week.
Yeah,
right.
you used that last week. Plus, Ned used that.
Ned can't use that.
Ned already did.
Fine, I'll talk to Chuck Yeager.
Who's that?
The guys that broke the sound barrier.
What about Uncle Jesse from the Dukes of Hazzard?
Ooh, that is a good one. I'd like to talk to him. That's right.
Do you know who that is?
I'd ask him for his ingredients to
You
his
do
water.
you do understand he was a
His
TV show
Shine.
character, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
He wasn't a real person, so he didn't actually make Shine.
What was his real name? What was it? Denver Powell?
Is NASCAR a sport?
It certainly is.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Don't poke the bear, Cronkite.
You all wouldn't know what a real sport
Do you
was.
really think NASCAR is a sport?
Do you not?
All right, explain to me how it is a sport.
Explain to me how it's not.
Okay, explain to me, like you.
No.
You
No.
You
Explain to
drove
me
here,
how it's not.
You
Explain to it's not.
you drove here to the studio.
Yeah,
today,
explain to
right?
me how it's not a sport.
Did you drive here to the studio?
I
today?
did.
Okay, what did you drive in?
A pickup truck.
Okay, was that a sport? You leaving your house until you come to Bunker Studios?
Do you play basketball in the
No, I
in your
do.
backyard?
I don't play basketball. Period.
Do you do anything?
Yes, I like to lift weights.
That's not a sport.
Yes, it is.
It's not. How is that a sport?
I know it's not. Okay.
Motorsports is a sport.
Well,
It even has it in the name.
I am-
Sports.
I
Motor
am-
sports.
Come on, man.
We'll be right back.
Come on. No, we're not going anywhere. I will tell you, though, that there's this one game I've got, and I've caught the biggest fish ever
Here's
on
the
this
thing.
game.
If there are any motor people who race out there,
What about motor boats?
they've got sport racing. Listen, I want people to call in and tell Goose why he's wrong.
Okay. What about, what's the things that, like, Paul Blart had in the movie?
Segways?
Segways. Is there Segway racing?
I have no idea. I'm sure there is.
Yeah, all right. If there was, would that be a sport?
I don't know. It depends on how much training it takes to do it.
It does not take training to drive a car around the track.
It certainly does.
No, it does not.
You're crazy.
Oh, my gosh.
So you would ask Dale Earnhardt if it's a sport. Is that your question?
I know it's a sport.
So what would your question be to Dale?
I don't know.
Cricket.
I don't know. No, it is a sport. 100% is a sport.
Okay. You say tomato, I say tomato. We're still friends.
No, we're not.
So,
We're
yes,
not.
yes,
You,
we
you
are.
don't believe in motorsports being sports,
Oh,
but
yes,
we're not
we
friends. I quit.
We're going to break away for Elliot's articles, and we'll be back after that with Project Stargate, listener text, question of the week responses, and a new question of the week on Here to Chew Bubblegum.
We'll be right back.
You can always call, text, or leave a voicemail for Here to Chew Bubblegum. 606-373-3396. You can also send an email to goose@heretochewbubblegum.com or cronkite@heretochewbubblegum.com. Researching the inner workings of the net to bring you stories of the strange and unusual. It's Elliot's Articles on Here to Chew Bubblegum. Take it away, Elliot.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you may be listening. This is Elliot with another Elliot's Articles on the Here to Chew Bubblegum podcast. This week, by listener request, we take a look at the Roswell incident. On the night of July 4th, 1947, an incident occurred in an area known as Corona, New Mexico. The incident was announced to the public by the U.S. military in a newspaper article that declared RAAF captures flying saucer on ranch in Roswell region. The next day it was denied by the U.S. military and has remained a clouded piece of American history ever since. Now, while the incident did take place in Corona, which is located in Lincoln County, New Mexico, it was reported in Roswell, New Mexico, located in Chaves County. This is where the story takes its name. The event took place, as I stated earlier, during the first week of July 1947 and involved the recovery of wreckage by the military from a remote ranch northwest of Roswell, New Mexico. The timeline for the first 2 weeks, according to unidentifiedflyingobjects.com, is something like this. On Tuesday, July 1st, 1947, a strange object is detected on the radar scopes at Roswell, New Mexico, White Sands, and Alamogordo. Its tremendous speed and erratic motion indicated that it is neither a plane nor a meteorite. On July 2nd, an oval object is spotted by Mr. and Mrs. Dan Wilmot as it passes over their house in Roswell, New Mexico. On July 3rd, radar operator Steve McKenzie is sent to White Sands to track the object 24 hours a day. July 4th rolls around, and Warrant Officer Robert Thomas and a team of men arrive from Washington to coordinate an operation of tracking and possible retrieval. Mac Brazel, who's going to be very important to the story, as well as others, report hearing a tremendous explosion. William Woody and his father observe a flaming object fall to earth north of Roswell. Jim Ragsdale and Trudy Truelove observe a bright light crash near their campsite. The object, which has been tracked on radar for 3 days, suddenly disappears. The retrieval team assemble and start heading for the calculated crash site. On Saturday, July 5th, a sheep herder who remains nameless finds the remains of a crashed saucer but does not report this until many, many years later. A group of archaeologists also find the crashed object. They phone Sheriff George Wilcox, thinking it's some sort of crashed aircraft. Wilcox then informs the local fire department, who arrive at the scene shortly afterwards. The special retrieval team locates the crashed craft, takes the names of all the civilians on site, and then escorts them away. The site is cleaned and secured within 6 hours, and 5 bodies are removed. Mac Brazel finds strange debris in his field. The debris consists of strange foil-like substance, balsa wood-like beams, and a strange sort of string. None of Brazel's sheep will go anywhere near the debris. Lydia Sleppy, a reporter for KSWS, a local radio station, tries to send the first unconfirmed reports of the crash over the teletype. The message is intercepted by the FBI or some government agency who order her to cease transmission due to national security concerns. Melvin Brown, who was one of the guards in the truck transporting the bodies, claims that they were small with large heads and that their skin was an orange-yellow color. Glenn Davis is called by the Roswell mortuary officer and is asked several questions relating to preserving bodies, making small caskets, and how to treat bodies that had been exposed to the sun. Glenn Dennis was over the local mortuary. Dennis is later summoned to the base to treat an injured pilot. While he is there, he sees several ambulances and some wreckage. Dennis is then threatened by 2 officers who warn him not to report anything he has witnessed. Mac Brazel returned to the debris site and picks up some of the stuff and takes it to his neighbors, Floyd and Loretta Proctor. They suggest that he informs the sheriff. On Sunday, July 6th, Brazel drives 75 miles into Roswell and shows some of the debris to Sheriff Wilcox, who in turn informs the military. Wilcox then sends 2 of his deputies to the ranch. William Woody and his father try to get close to the site where they saw the strange object crash. However, they're stopped by military presence who refuse them entry. Colonel William Blanchard, commanding officer of the 509th Bomb Group, sends Jesse A. Marcel out to the sheriff's office to investigate the reported debris. There, Marcel meets with Brazel, and after seeing the debris, decides to go to the debris field. He is accompanied by Captain Sheridan Cavett and Mac Brazel. Blanchard then orders that all debris at the sheriff's office be sealed and flown to Fort Worth Army Airfield, where it is given to Colonel Thomas DuBose. An interesting side note on the 509th is that they were the group that did the atomic bombing on Hiroshima and Nagasaki during World War II. Marcel and Cavett arrive too late at night to see the debris field, so they spend the night with Brazel and his family. They also get a chance to observe some of the debris that Brazel had brought back with them. Neither of them had seen anything like it. It would not burn or scratch, yet when held in the hand it felt weightless. Several pieces of the foil-like substance, when crumpled into a ball, would return to its original shape when released. On Monday, July 7th, some of the debris and bodies from the main crash site are sent to Andrews Air Force Field. Brazel, Marcel, and Cavett arrive at the debris field. It is 3/4 of a mile long and 300 feet wide. They spend the day loading as much of the debris as possible into Marcel's car and then drive back to Roswell. General Nathan Twining, Air Material Command Commander, suddenly changes his current engagements and flies out to Alamogordo. Rumors start spreading around at Roswell Base that a flying saucer has been retrieved. On Tuesday, July 8th, Marcel decides to show his family some of the debris that he's recovered before the debris becomes classified. He tells his son that it's part of a flying saucer. Marcel and Cavett meet with Colonel Blanchard to report what they had seen. As a result, Blanchard orders that the guards be placed around the debris field and to stop anyone trying to obtain access. Brazel, who spends the previous night at Walt Whitmore's, the person at KGFL Radio's house, is interviewed by him and wire recorded. Whitmore is then informed from Washington not to air the interview with Brazel due to, once again, national security concerns. Brigadier General Roger Ramey orders Blanchard to send Marcel to Fort Worth. Mac Brazel is interviewed by military personnel. This interview is going to last several days, and he's taken into custody. Lieutenant Walter Halt finishes the press release that Colonel Blanchard had authorized. He gives copies to both radio and newspapers. The story is released and claims that the Army Air Force have announced that a flying disc has been found. Within a couple of hours, the base is flooded with calls from around the world. Marcel arrives at Fort Worth and meets with General Ramey. Marcel shows Ramey the debris, who then takes Marcel into the map room so that he can show him the location of the debris site. When Marcel returns, the debris that he had brought in was gone. It had been replaced by bits of an old weather balloon. Ramey then orders that the real wreckage be sent to Wright Field in Dayton, Ohio. The military cleaned the debris site back on Brazel's ranch and transport all the debris to Wright Field. A press conference is held in which Warrant Officer Irving Newton identifies the debris as that of a balloon. Marcel is ordered not to say anything, and Ramey confirms that the men at Roswell had simply made a mistake. Marcel is then ordered to be photographed with the balloon debris. Interest in the story dies down due to the fact that the debris had been identified that as of a weather balloon. On Wednesday, July 9th, Brazos Field is completely cleaned of the debris. The remaining debris is sent to Los Alamos via Kirtland Air Force Base. Brazel is seen by friends as he's escorted from the Air Force Base into town. They report that he looked very shocked and stressed. Brazel remarks to a friend, Frank Joyce, that he has to change his story to protect his family. Haught's press conference is confiscated by military personnel. Many ground personnel at Wright Field claims to see strange debris being unloaded from unmarked planes. Others report seeing bodies at the Andrews Air Force Base. Marcel meets up with Sheridan Cavett, who now claims that he never went with Marcel to the debris field on Brazel's ranch. On Thursday, July 10th, 1947, Sheriff Wilcox calls on Glenn Dennis's father and informs him that his son is in trouble with the military and advises him to talk to Glenn to make sure that he remains silent. Further balloon explanations are reported in the local newspapers. On Friday, July 11th, Glenn Dennis tries to contact a nurse who had told him that she had helped in one of the autopsies of the bodies. However, when he phones the base, he's informed that no one knows where she is. All military personnel involved in the retrieval and cleanup operation are debriefed and told to forget that it ever happened. Military police also start visiting the civilians who were on the side of the main crash. They are warned not to say anything, or they and their families will go missing. Now, this is an interesting story because it reminds me of the Men in Black. There's actually a story of a little girl who held a piece of the debris in her hand, and one of the quote-unquote military police, who weren't dressed like military police, stood on her front porch with a baseball bat in his hand and said that to forget what she knew, because in the desert, little girls go missing all the time. Now, whether that really happened or not, who knows, but I'm just saying that does sound like something that we had covered in the Men in Black episodes. On Saturday, July 12th, 1947, Mac Brazel's son Bill turns up at the ranch to help out while Mac Brazel is still being held under military guard. And on Tuesday, July 15th, Mac Brazel is finally released. All he says is that the military kept asking the same questions over and over again. Brazel revealed that he had to take an oath never to say what he saw. Now, no matter what happened during that 2-week period in New Mexico, it ignited a need in many people to seek out the unknown and to look into the mysteries of our universe. If you want to do some deep diving on this topic yourself, I would recommend the following books: The Day After Roswell by Colonel Philip J. Corso, Crash at Corona by Don Berliner, or Witness to Roswell by Thomas J. Carey. Any of those books have great information in them that you can look up yourself. Next week, we will look at government explanations of these events and why or why not they may be true. Once again, dear listeners, please feel free to write in and let me know what you want me to cover. You can do that at heretochewbubblegum.yahoo.com. Just put "Attention Elliot" in the subject line. Thanks for listening, guys. And once again, Elliot out.
You're listening to Here to Chew Bubblegum with Goose and Cronkite.
An awesome Elliot's article is talking about Roswell.
Very much so.
So Elliot's, just love Elliot's articles. People writing all the time talking about how they enjoy Elliot's articles.
Yes.
That last segment ran a little bit long, and I want to apologize because you were going to talk about the real.
Yeah, I was going to keep talking about the Aldebaran mystery that I was watching.
Right.
So we'll pick that back up next week because it's we ran longer than we intended to.
Well, it's always a good time when we have Ned sit down and join us.
Yes.
Ned is finally listening to the listeners. He's letting us mic him up, and he sounds great.
Yes, absolutely. He brings a lot to the table, too.
Yes, he does.
Don't ever think that we don't want you there, Ned. We love you.
We're going to talk about Project Stargate. Have you ever heard about Project Stargate?
Somewhat.
Okay. And what have you heard about it?
It's a show, isn't it?
No, that was actually Stargate.
Okay.
That was a show.
That's what I heard.
The intrigue revolves around a classified 1983 CIA report on a technique called the Gateway Experience, which is a training system designed to focus brainwave output to alter consciousness and ultimately escape the restrictions of time and space. The CIA was interested in all sorts of psychic research at this time, including the theory and applications of remote viewing, which is when someone views real events with only the power of their mind. This report on the Gateway process in this section provides a timeline of key historical developments that led to CIA's investigation and experiments. So we're just basically going to be talking about the timeline of the Stargate project. In the 1950s, Robert Monroe, a radio broadcasting executive, begins producing evidence that specific sound patterns have effects on human capabilities. These include alertness, sleepiness, and extended state of consciousness. Now, we've talked about that a little bit before with Nikola Tesla with his 369, talking about sounds and frequencies and waves. In 1956, Monroe forms the R&D division inside his radio program production company, RAM Enterprises. The goal is to study the sound's effects on human consciousness. He is obsessed with sleep learning, which exposes sleepers to sound recordings to boost memories of previously learned information. In 1958, while experimenting with sleep learning, Monroe discovers an unusual phenomenon. He describes it as a sensation of paralysis and vibrations accompanied by bright light. It allegedly happens 9 times over 6 weeks, and it culminates into a out-of-body experience. In 1962, the RAM Enterprises moves to Virginia and renames itself the Monroe Industries. It becomes active in radio station ownership, cable television, and later in the production and sale of audio cassettes. These cassettes contain applied learnings from the corporation research program, which is renamed the Monroe Institute. In 1971, Monroe publishes Journeys Out of the Body, a book that is credited for popularizing the term out-of-body experience. In 1972, a classified report circulates in the U.S. military and intelligence communities. It claims that the Soviet Union is pouring money into researching ESP and other projects. In 1975, Monroe registers the first of several patents concerning audio techniques designed to stimulate brain functions until the left and right hemisphere become synchronized. Monroe dubs this HemoSync and claims that it could be used to promote mental well-being or to trigger an altered state of consciousness. 1978 to 1984, Army veteran Joseph Moneagle contributes to 450 remote viewing missions under Project Stargate. He is known as View Number 1, and this is kind of a whole other story. On June 9, 1983, the CIA reported that Project Gateway provides a scientific framework and understanding for explaining human consciousness, out-of-body experiences, and other altered states of mind. In 1989, a remote viewer, Angela Ford, helps track down a former customs agent who has gone on the run. She pinpoints his location as Loyal, Wyoming. U.S. customs agents apprehend him 100 miles west of Wyoming in a town called, guess the name, Cronkite? Lovell. She said Loyal, it was Lovell. And she did that from her remote viewing. In 2003, the CIA approves declassification of the Project Gateway process report. In 2017, the CIA declassified 12 million pages of records revealing previously unknown details about the program, which would eventually become known as Project Stargate. And that's just a brief thing on Project Stargate.
That's fascinating.
It's very fascinating, especially, when you take that she almost 100% had the name of the town correct. Mm-hmm. And we had a listener, we didn't read the email a few weeks ago, but message just, saying we should dig into that a little bit. And I didn't have a whole lot of free time this week, but I did dig in just a little bit, and I found the timeline of that really interesting and so forth.
Definitely.
We're moving on to some listener text. You want to start us out?
I sure do. Out of Sight says, "Hello, here to Chew Bubble Gum. I'm new to the show. It's refreshing knowing there are other believers like me. My family and I saw a UFO in 1977 in Seattle. It looked like a Goodyear blimp, but no letters or anything on it. We looked away for a second and it was gone. It was in the middle of the day on August. My mom called and they told her they've received several calls and it was just a weather balloon. It was not a weather balloon."
Typical. Mark says, "Hey, here to Chew Bubble Gum. I recently discovered the show and just wanted to say hello, Roswell."
Well, hello. Rick M. says, "Hey, Goose, Cronkite, and Ned. 11/11 will be the great awakening. It's time for humans to take the next step in the evolution of life. Disclosure should get us closer. Roswell. So is he saying 11/11 is going to be one to disclose?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I wonder how he knows that, just because it's November 11th.
Maybe.
See, so how would that be? 11th month, 11th day, 2021. 11/11/21.
21.
I don't really see a pattern there.
Oh, yeah.
Looks like it should have happened 11/11/2011.
Should have.
So,
Didn't.
okay.
Rick M., let us know how you know that.
Yes. Christine says, "Hey, Goose, Cronkite, Ned, and Elliot. I hope that all is well, and just wanted to recommend a UFO crash story from the 50s. It took place in Utah." That's all she says. Do you want to make a note of that? Or here, just let me see your. May I borrow your pen, sir?
UFO crash in Utah
I'll just in the 50s.
in the 50s.
I'll put a little thing by that.
Alrighty.
You want to go ahead?
Danielle says, "Hey guys, I recently found out about you guys. I listened to an old show where you talked about Tesla
Hi, Danielle.
and the numbers 369. Try this sometime.
369.
When you feel pain or an itch when you are in bed, close your eyes and concentrate on the area and repeat these numbers. 55515. It really works. It changes your brain waves and blocks nerve receptors." Huh. I'll have to try that.
That is wild. T.O. says, "Minor cracks today are opening up in the Earth's magnetic field. Another step closer for the Earth's shift. If anyone has sleepless nights this week, now you know why." Well, now he explains my insomnia this week. I wonder what happens all the weeks before. Nothing?
No, I don't know. I mean,
Okay.
probably just need to take some melatonin gummies.
What's your favorite flavor?
I don't really have a favorite flavor. I like them all. They're gummies.
So there is no such thing as a bad gummy.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
Unless they're sour. Sour gummies are awful. Jeffrey O says, "Do you guys really think that we will get disclosure this year? I hope that we do. I really feel like it's going to happen and that the human race can handle it." Roswell.
I think the human race can handle it. Do I think we will? It's possible. It's possible. And I'll go back and say it's possible because what I've said on past shows, you've got somebody that was president and they're not president anymore, but they don't have access to social media. So, I would like for it to happen.
Well, and disclosure is going to be just like ripping a Band-Aid off. It's going to be,
You're going to have to do it fast.
yeah, it's going to be chaotic for a minute, and then we're all going to be better off for it, I feel like.
I totally agree.
And I do believe that everybody can handle it. There are going to be some closed-minded individuals that aren't going to be too happy that they aren't the center of their universe anymore.
Exactly.
But, at the end of the day, progress is progress. We need to move forward.
Exactly. Unknown writes, "Has anyone noticed the way the moon looks? The way the moon looks. 2 nights ago, it just looked different. It was I was freezing my butt off feeding animals, and kind of in passing, I was thinking it looked off. Did you guys notice it, Roswell?" I didn't really notice. I didn't really pay attention. I wasn't outside a whole lot though of a night. What about you?
No, me either. It was very cold.
So yes, it was.
Trenton says, "Hey, here to Chew Bubblegum. This question is for Ned. When will we get a Ned Said segment, Roswell?"
Oh, did you hear that, Ned? When will we get that?
Very soon.
Very soon. Good. We look forward to that. Gretchen writes, "Hey, Goose and Cronkite. I recently heard that Bob Lazar has said that the Earth's magnetic field isn't constant. It can be affected by things in space like gravity waves and solar particles. Do you think that the recent landing of the Mars rover has anything to do with this?" That's a good question. No, I do not think that. What about you, Cronkite?
I don't think that. I think we're just that's just, like I said, just natural curiosity, and we're trying to progress and get to the next thing. The Earth is not going to be around forever, and if we want humanity to succeed and to be around forever, we have to leave this planet at some point. So this is just the first steps, the baby steps to get to that point.
I totally agree with you. Moving on to our question of the week responses. Do you want to read our question of the week?
Well, I sure will. Question of the week is, if you could ask a question to anyone at any time in history, who would it be, and what was your question? You want to jump into it?
Yeah, I'll go first. Tyler says,
Just looking at me weird.
I'm not, I was just making sure you're okay.
No, I'm here.
Tyler says, I'm not sure, maybe Neil Armstrong, and I'd ask him what it was like to walk on the moon.
John says Nikola Tesla. The question would be, how can I access the universal knowledge that you said you tapped into yourself? That's a good one.
That's a very good question. Lisa also says Tesla. I'd ask him what was his most prized invention.
Bobby says Socrates. How much wood would a woodchuck chuck?
Damn
if a
it,
woodchuck
Bobby.
could chuck wood?
Get away from the
that's-
propane.
That's adorable, Bobby.
Jeremy says John Lennon. How did you get the idea for Imagine, and how long did it take you to write?
Chad says I'd go back to the 70s and ask Steve Jobs if I could invest $100 in his startup. That would be a good one.
That's a really good one. History Buff says Lee Harvey Oswald. I'd ask him if he acted alone or if anyone else was involved.
Barry says Eve, and the question would be, why did you give Adam that apple?
That's a good one. That is a very good one. Now, what is our new question of the week?
New question of the week. When the aliens are revealed to us, what is your number one question that you are dying to know?
That is a good question of the week.
Who gave that to us?
We had a Facebook message from a guy named Bart, really good guy, who
Okay.
gave that to us. So I'm going to answer that, and then I'll let you answer that. When aliens are revealed to us, what is your number one question to ask? What is the number one question you are dying to know? How do you time travel? That's what I would ask.
Okay.
What about you?
Well, I wonder if time travel and straight line time in the universe are the same.
I don't know,
Could be.
but they could tell me if it's not.
They could. Yeah. I would like to know. And maybe it's a very similar question to you, but how do you travel such fast distances in a short period of time? Because right now it's taken us 9 months to reach Mars,
Yeah.
and that's
I thought it was 7 months.
7 months to reach Mars, and it's a unmanned aircraft
Yes.
or unmanned spacecraft.
Yeah.
I would imagine it'd be a good deal slower for manned craft, wouldn't it?
Probably. Well, no, it should be about the same.
Think so?
Maybe, yeah.
Okay.
Should be. I'm pretty sure they've said about 6 or 7 months before. That's been years ago that I read that.
Right.
So, but you can always answer our question of the week when the aliens are revealed to us. What is your number one question you are dying to know? How can they let us know that?
Well, you can answer the question by calling, texting, or leaving a voicemail on 606-373-3396, or you can email us. Email Goose at heretechewbubblegum.com or myself, Cronkite, at heretechewbubblegum.com. You can even email Elliot or Ned, heretechewbubblegum at yahoo.com. Attention, Ned or Elliot.
Yes. We're going to close out the show for this week. Thank you very much for tuning in, and don't forget, coming soon to local radio 104.9 WXLR, myself and Cronkite will be on there on Sunday nights. We do know that it will be Sunday nights.
That's exciting.
And we will keep you updated and hope you listen. We want to say special thanks to Carlin for all the voiceover work and for allowing us to use the music of Flannery. CK Uncle Bill, ST3B over at deadpit.com, James, Stacy, Greg, and the rest of the game at The Edge Studios. That's The Edge, spelled TH #3. And our friend T-Shirt Joe from FastCustomShirts.com. Anything you want to say in parting this week?
Not really. I guess that'll do it for this week. We'll see you next week. And until then, so long for now.
Goodbye.
Thanks for listening to Here to Chew Bubblegum. Tune in next time as we dive deeper into things the government doesn't want us to know.